Ladies and gentlemen, listen, your distractions are looter than your dreams because you're feeding the noise instead of feeding the grind. While you're drowning in notifications, conversations, and chaos, your goals are dying from starvation. While you're giving your attention to everything that doesn't matter, everything that does matter is withering away. Silence isn't just peace. It's a weapon that destroys distractions and unlocks your full potential. Today, you're going to learn how to cut the noise, embrace the silence, and feed the grind that will transform your life. TZ, foundation of focus silence. You want to know why you're not achieving your goals. It's not because you don't have talent. It's not because you don't have time. It's not because you don't have OP or opportunity. It's because you're feeding the noise instead of feeding the grindy. Every minute you spend in distraction is a minute stolen from your destination. Every second you give to noise is a second robbed from your problem. Every moment you waste on chaos is a moment you could have invested in your future. Silence is not just the absence of sound. It's the presence of focus, the manifestation of discipline, the embodiment of PIWR. Most people are terrified of silence. They fill every moment with music, podcasts, conversations, TV shows, social media, anything to avoid being alone with their thoughts. They're addicted to noise because noise is comfortable. Noise is fablair. Noise is easy. But noise is also the enemy of achievement, the killer of dreams, the destroyer of potential. When you constantly surround yourself with noise, you never develop the ability to focus deeply. You never learn to think clearly. You never discover what you're truly capable of achieving. Silence is focus. This is not just a clever phrase. It's a fundamental truth. Focus is impossible in CheatOS. Concentration cannot exist in noise. Deep work cannot happen amid distraction. The greatest achievements in human history were born in silence, in laboratories where scientists worked without interruption, in studios where artists created without distraction, in studies where writers wrote without interference. Silence creates the space where genius can emerge, where excellence can develop, where greatness can be born. But silence is not just about eliminating external noise. It's about eliminating internal noise as well. The chatter in your head, the constant stream of thoughts, the endless mental conversations, this internal noise is just as destructive as external distractions. Silence means quieting not just the world around you, but the world within you. It means creating a mental environment where your most important thoughts can be heard, where your clearest insights can emerge, where your deepest wisdom can surface. The foundation of focused silence requires understanding that distractions are not accidents, they're attacks. Your phone buzzing is not random, it's designed to interrupt your focus. Social media notifications are not innocent. They're engineered to hijack your attention. The constant stream of information is not helpful. It's overwhelming your capacity to process. These distractions are deliberate assaults on your ability to focus. And silence is your defense. When you create silence, you're not just eliminating noise. You're building a fortress that protects your most valuable asset, your attention. Focused silence also means understanding that every distraction you eliminate is energy you can redirect toward your goals. Think about it. If you spend 3 hours a day on social media, that's 95 hours per year, more than 65 days that you're giving away to distraction. If you eliminate that distraction and redirect that time into silence and focused work, you've just gained 6 days of productive time. That's enough time to master a new skill, build a business, write a book, transform your body. The question is not whether you have time for your dreams. It's whether you're feeding your dreams or feeding your distractions. Silence is not passive, it's actively destructive to everything that doesn't serve your profit. When you embrace silence, you're not just turning off the noise, you're declaring war on distraction. You're not just seeking peace, you're demanding focus. You're not just finding quiet, you're creating an environment where greatness is inevitable. Silence destroys distractions the way light destroys darkness completely, immediately, and totally. Teach the discipline of cutting the noise. Cutting the noise is not a one-time action. It's a daily discipline, a continuous practices, a relentless commitment to protecting your focus from the invasion of distraction. Most people allow noise to control their lives. They react to every notification, respond to every message, engage with every distraction. But champions are different. Winners are selective. Achievers are ruthless about protecting their attention from anything that doesn't serve their mission. The discipline of cutting the noise starts with your phones, the single biggest source of distraction in modern life. Your phone is not your friend, it's an attention vampire. Every app is designed to keep you engaged. Every notification is engineered to grab your focus. Every feature is built to maximize your screen time. You must treat your phone like the weapon of mass distraction that it is. Turn off all notifications except the ones that are absolutely essential. Delete apps that waste your time. Put your phone in another room when you need to focus. Make it difficult to access the things that distract you and easy to access the things that serve your goals. Cutting the noise also means curating your environment. Your physical space either supports focus or supports distraction. There is no middle ground. Look around right now. What's in your line of sight? Is it things that remind you of your goals or things that remind you of your distractions? Champions create environments that make focus easy. They remove visual distractions. They eliminate sources of interest. They design their spaces to support their mission. Your environment should be a focus. Fortress, not a distraction. Play. Drown. Oh, yes. The discipline includes controlling your consumption of information. We're drowning in information but starving for wisdom. You're consuming content constantly, social media posts, news articles, YouTube videos, podcasts, TV shows. But how much of this information is actually serving your goals? How much is helping you grow? How much is moving you forward? Most of the information you consume is just noise. It feels like you're doing something productive, but you're actually just filling your mind with clutter. Cut the noise by being ruthlessly selective about what you consume. Every article you read should serve your purpose. Every video you watch should advance your knowledge. Every podcast you listen to should develop your skills. If it doesn't serve your mission, it's just noise. Cutting the noise also means setting boundaries with people who drain your energy. Some people are sources of constant drama, endless complaints, and perpetual negativity. Negativity. They're human noise machines. Every conversation with them leaves you drained. Every interaction takes energy you could be investing in your goals. You must be willing to cut this noise from your life. This doesn't mean being cruel or insensitive. It means being strategic about who gets access to your time and attention. Your focus is too valuable to be wasted on people who don't respect IT. The discipline of cutting noise includes mastering the art of saying no. Every yes to distraction is a no to your dreams. Every yes to someone else's agenda is a no to your own priorities. Every yes to immediate pleasure is a no to long-term success. You must develop the discipline to say no to good things so you can say yes to great things. Say no to social events that don't serve your purpose. Say no to opportunities that distract from your mission. Say no to anything that pulls you away from your focus. The word no is your sword against distraction. Cutting the noise also requires scheduling silence. Most people wait for silence to happen naturally. But in today's world, silence doesn't happen by accident. It must be scheduled deliberately. Block out time on your calendar for silent work. Protect these blocks like they're the most important meetings of your life. During these blocks, eliminate ALL sources of noise. No phone, no internet, no interest. Just you and your work. These scheduled silent sessions are where your most important work happens. This is where breakthroughs occur. This is where dreams become reality. The discipline of cutting noise also means recognizing when you're using noise as an escape. Sometimes we seek distraction because we're avoiding difficult work. We fill our lives with noise because silence forces us to face ourselves, our goals, and our fears. But avoiding silence is avoiding growth. The discomfort you feel in silence is not your enemy. It's showing you where you need to focus. The thoughts that emerge when noise is eliminated are not random. They're your deepest truths trying to be heard. Cut the noise not just to eliminate distraction, but to hear the voice within that knows exactly what you need to do. Easy power of feeding the grind. While you're cutting the noise, you must simultaneously be feeding the grind. The grind is not just hard work. It's focused, intentional, purposeful effort directed toward your most important goals. The grind is what separates people who dream from people who achieve. The grind is what transforms potential into performance. The grind is what turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. But the grind requires fuel, and that fuel comes from the time, energy, and focus you reclaim by cutting the noisies. Feeding the grind starts with understanding what your grind actually is. For some people, it's building a business. For others, it's mastering a skill. For some, it's transforming their body. For others, it's completing their education. Your grind is the primary activity that will move you from where you are to where you want to be. But here's the problem. Most people know what their grind is, but they're not feeding IT. They're giving their best hours to distractions and their worst hours to their dreams. They're investing their peak energy in noise and their leftover energy in their grind. Feeding the grind means giving your best to what matters most. Your first hours should go to your grinded, not to checking social media. Your peak energy should be invested in your mission, not wasted on Netflix. Your clearest thinking should be directed at your goals, not scattered across meaningless activities. Champions feed their grind. First, they protect their most productive hours for their most important work. They understand that the grind doesn't get leftovers, it gets parnasiae. The grind also requires consistency. You can't feed your grind occasionally and expect extraordinary results. You can't work hard for a week and then take a month off. You can't be focused one day and distracted the next 10. The grind demands daily investment. It requires showing up even when you don't feel like it. It necessitates working even when you're tired. It demands focus even when you're tempted by distraction. This consistency is what compounds into breakthrough results. Small daily investments in your grind create massive long-term returns. Feeding the grind also means embracing the difficulty. The grind is not supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be comfortable. It's not supposed to feel good. The grind is challenging, demanding, and sometimes painful. But this difficulty is not your enemy. It's your developer. The challenge of the grind is what builds your capacity or develops your character. The discomfort is what creates your stress and scene. When you feel the difficulty of the grind, don't retreat to distraction, lean into it. That difficulty is evidence you're growing. The power of feeding the grind includes understanding momentum. When you consistently invest in your grind, you create forward momentum. This momentum makes the grind easier. It makes focus more natural. It makes discipline more attitude. But when you feed distractions instead of feeding the grind, you lose momentum. You have to restart from zero. You isn't building what you lost. Feeding your grind daily maintains momentum that makes every day's work more effective than the last. Feeding the grind also requires measurance. You can't manage what you don't measure. How much time are you actually spending on your grind? How much of your day is invested in activities that directly advance your goals? Most people overestimate how much they're feeding their grind and underestimate how much they're feeding their distractions. Track your time, measure your investment, quantify your focus. When you measure, you become aware. When you're aware, you can improve it. The grind also needs the right fuel. You can't feed your grind effectively if your body and mind are depleted. This means taking care of your physical health, eating right, exercising, getting adequate sleep. It means managing your mental health, dealing with stress, processing emotions, maintaining psychological well-being. It means developing your spiritual health minus connecting with purpose, finding meaning, cultivating gratitude. When you're physically, mentally, and spiritually strong, you have more to give to your grinded. Feeding the grind means understanding that sacrifice is required. You cannot feed everything equally. You cannot give equal time to your grind and your distractions. You cannot invest equally in your goals and your entertainment. Something must be sacrificed. Champions sacrifice distractions on the altar of their dreams. They sacrifice temporary pleasure for permanent progress. They sacrifice instant gratification for ultimate achievement. What are you willing to sacrifice to feed your grind? THC, transformation through silent focus. When you cut the noise and feed the grind with focused silence, transformation is inevitable. This is not just improvement, it's complete metamorphosis. It's not just progress, it's total reinvention. It's not just change, it's fundamental transformation. The person you become through the discipline of silent focus is unrecognizable compared to the person you were when you were feeding distraction. The transformation starts with your capacity for focus. When you first eliminate distractions and embrace silence, maintaining focus feels difficult. Your mind wanders after just a few minutes. You feel restless and uncomfortable. You reach for distractions almost unconsciously. But as you persist, something extraordinary happens. Your capacity for focus expands. What used to be hard becomes easier. What used to feel impossible becomes natural. You develop the ability to focus deeply for hours. This expanded capacity for focus becomes your competitive advantage. While others can barely focus for 20 minutes, you can maintain intense concentration for hours. How many hours? This difference is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Silent focus also transforms your productivity. When you work in silence without distractions, your output skyrockets. Tasks that used to take hours now take minutes. Projects that seemed overwhelming become manageable. Goals that felt distant become achievable. This is not because you're working faster, it's because you're working smarter. You're giving your full mental capacity to your work instead of dividing it across multiple distractions. This focused work is exponentially more effective than distracted effort. The transformation includes your clarity. Noise creates confusion. Distraction scatters your thinking. Chaos clouds your judgment. But silence brings clarity. When you eliminate the noise, when you feed the grind with focused attention, your thinking becomes crystalline. You see solutions that were previously hidden. You recognize patterns you previously missed. You make connections you never made before. This clarity is not just helpful, it's essential for achieving anything significant. Silent focus also transforms your confidence. Every time you choose focus over distraction, every time you cut the noise and feed the grind, every time you maintain silence despite the pull of noise, you prove something to yourself. You prove that you're capable of discipline. You demonstrate that you have self-control. You show yourself that you can do hard things. This proof builds unshakable confidence. You start believing in yourself not because someone told you to, but because you have evidence. You know, you can achieve your goals because you've already demonstrated the discipline required to achieve anything. The transformation through silent focus includes your results. This is where everything becomes tangible. All the discipline, all the sacrifice, all the focus it produces roads. Your business grows. Your skills develop. Your body transforms. Your knowledge expanded. Whatever you're grinding on, it starts to show. But these results are not just endpoints, they're evidence that your approach works. They're proof that cutting the noise and feeding the grind creates success. They're validation that silence destroys distractions and unleashes potolol. Silent focus also transforms your ID entity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles with distractions and start seeing yourself as someone who maintains focus. You stop identifying as someone who gets easily distracted and start identifying as someone who works with laser-like concentration. This identity shift is powerful. When your identity changes, your behavior automatically aligns. You don't have to force yourself to focus. You focus naturally because that's who you are. You don't have to fight distractions. You avoid them automatically because they're inconsistent with your identity. The transformation also includes your relationships. When you cut the noise and feed the grind, you naturally distance yourself from people who are sources of distraction. But you also attract people who value focus, discipline, and accomplishment. You start surrounding yourself with others who are feeding their grind. You build relationships with people who understand the power of silencer. These relationships amplify your 3 and Zen summation. Because you're surrounded by people who reinforce your values rather than undermining them. TZ, mastery of sustain and silence CE. Cutting the noise once is easy. Feeding the grind for a day is simple. Maintaining focus for a week is manageable. But mastering sustained silence, maintaining this discipline day after day, week after week, year after year minus, that's what separates temporary achievement from permanent success. Mastery requires turning these practices into habits, these habits into systems, these systems into last lad style. The mastery of sustained silence starts with automation. You must automate the elimination of the apps. This means setting up systems that make distraction difficult and focus easy. Put your phone on airplane mode automatically during work hours. Use website blockers that prevent access to distracting sites. Create physical barriers between you and your distractions. The less willpower you need to maintain silence, the more sustainable your focus becomes. Automate the destruction of distractions. So maintaining silence becomes your defensive. Sustained silence also requires rituals. Create specific rituals that signal to your brain that it's time to focus. Maybe it's making a specific type of TEA before you start working. Maybe it's listening to a specific song that puts you in work mode. Maybe it's doing a brief meditation that clears your mind. These rituals become triggers that activate your focus mode. Over time, these rituals become so associated with focus work that just that performing the ritual puts you into a state of deep concentration. The mastery includes developing what I call noise, INM unity. In the beginning, every distraction tempts you. Every notification calls your attention. Every source of noise pulls at your focus. But as you practice sustained silence, you develop immunity to these pulls. Notifications stop triggering the urge to check. Noise stops breaking your concentration. Distractions stop derailing your focus. You become immune to the things that destroy most people's attention. This immunity is not natural. It's earned through consistent practice of cutting the noise and feeding the grindy. Sustained silence also requires flexibilities. Life changes, circumstances shift, challenges appear. You must be flexible in your methods while remaining committed to your principles. Maybe your morning silence ritual needs to become an evening ritual. Maybe your quiet workspace needs to become a noise-canceling headphone strategy. Maybe your phone-free hours need to shift to different times of day. Be flexible about how you create silence, but be inflexible about maintaining it. The mastery of sustained silence includes recongoidage. You cannot maintain maximum focus, Chief Venture Arthur Sue, without burning out. Masters of silence understand the difference between recovery and distraction. Recovery is intentional rest that rebuilds your capacity. Distraction is mindless consumption that drains your energy. Schedule recovery time. Take breaks that actually restore your mental energy. But don't confuse recovery with distraction. Recovery serves your grind. Distraction sabotage IT. Sustained silence also requires continuous improvement. You must constantly be finding new ways to eliminate distractions, new strategies for maintaining focus, new methods for feeding your grinded. The distractions of today are different from the distractions of yesterdays. The noise of tomorrow will be different from the noise of today. Stay ahead of the curve by continuously improving your ability to create and maintain silence CE. Read books about focus. Study techniques for deep work. Learn from others who've mastered sustained concentration. Never stop improving your ability to destroy distractions. TC final declares it, silence is your weapon. This is where you make the choice that determines your destiny. This is where you decide whether you will continue feeding distractions or start feeding your grind. This is where you commit to cutting the noise and embracing the silence that destroys distraction. This is your moment to declare, silence is my weapon. Focus is my power. The grind is my purvert. Right now, take inventory of your life. How much noise are you feeding? How many distractions are consuming your time? How much energy are you giving to things that don't serve your goals? Be honest. The truth might hurt, but it's also liberating. Once you see how much you're feeding distraction, you can make the decision to stop. Once you recognize how little you're feeding your grind, you can commit to giving it everything. Your declaration starts with eliminating. Right now, identify 3 sources of noise in your life. 3 distractions that are stealing your time, draining your energy, and sabotaging your focus. Then commit to eliminating them immediately. Delete the apps, cancel the subscriptions, set the boundaries, cut the noise right now. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't make excuses about why you need these distractions. Just eliminate them and reclaim that time, energy, and focus for your grind. The declaration also includes commitment to feeding your grind. Starting today, decide how much time you will invest daily in your most important work, not someday, not when you feel like it, not when conditions are perfect, every single day, without exception. This commitment is non-negatable. It's not something you do when convenient. It's something you do regardless of convenience. Your grind gets your best hours, your peak energy, your fullest attention. Your declaration requires you to embrace silence, not as something you do, but as someone you become. You're not just someone who occasionally works in silence. You're someone who thrives in silence. You're not just someone who sometimes cuts the noise. You're someone who systematically destroys distraction. You're not just someone who feeds the grind when motivated. You're someone who feeds the grind with unwavering consistency. The final declaration also means understanding that this is not temporary. This is not a phase. This is not a trend. This is a fundamental transformation in how you operate, how you work, how you live. Cutting the noise and feeding the grind becomes your way of life. Silence becomes your natural ENV, state of mind. Focus becomes your default state. The grind becomes your daily practice. This is who you are now. This is who you will be tomorrow. This is who you remain forever. Remember, silence is focus. Cut the noise. Feed the grinding. These 9 words contain the blueprint for extraordinary achievement. They're not just motivational piracies. They're operational instructions. They're your strategy for success. They're your weapon against mediocrity. The world is noisy. Distractions are everywhere. Chaos is constant. But you don't have to be controlled by the noise. You don't have to be a victim of distraction. You don't have to accept the CHOS. You have a weapon that destroys all of it. Silence. Now go create that silence. Go cut that noise. Go feed that grind. Your dreams are starving for your attention. Your goals are dying from negative. Your potential is wasting away from distraction. Feed your grind. Your distractions. Right? Not distractions. Starve your distractions. Actions. Silence, it destroys distractions. Now go destroys distractions. Now go it. Feed, eat the grind. Cut the noise. Transform your life. Now make it happen.